Welcome to the Artist's Room's podcast. The Artist's Room podcast. I got to get used to saying that. Gabrielle Walsh, I've known you a long time.
Yes, hello.
It's great to have you here, and we have a lot to talk about. Carlo Mendez, I've known you for a while, under interesting circumstances.
Yeah.
So we have a bond. And last time I saw you, it wasn't under great circumstances, but we're here now. We're excited about this.
All of these circumstances.
Well, we sat next to each other at Tom Sizemore's memorial, which was beautiful, poignant, and it was a great celebration of his life. So not to bring anything down, it's really actually, it was a celebration of his amazing life and career.
Yeah.
So now tell us more. Somebody bring it back up.
Wow. I mean,
yeah, a great way to start out.
That sounds very impactful. You two knew him for some time then. Is that how you met?
Well, let's tell the story here. I was taking a class with Tom on Saturdays in a bar, and he brought some amazing guests, Robert Miano and a couple other people, Derek and... Do you know them?
I remember, but I forget their names.
Right. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, Carlo came and visited one time, and I said, hey, I need somebody to do this scene with me. I'm working on it for something else, and could you do this with me? And he was so generous and so nice to say, sure. And he had it for about 5 minutes, and we crushed it. I felt really good.
Yeah.
He brought in this great energy.
My dad.
I played his dad, and there was a funny part because in the scene, I actually did the scene with a friend of mine who's here, Ben, but there's this one part where I have to like throw him down, and he says,
this guy?
"Yeah, bro, wait till you hear this.
Lord.
It gets better." His line was, "That's child abuse. I'll call the cops on you if you do that again." And I was thinking, like, he could just like. But it was fun. We made it work.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a great little scene, and you did great, man. Thank you
I
for having me.
appreciate that.
It was
Coming
fun.
from
It was
you,
a lot
that
of fun.
means a lot to me. We were just talking about acting, and I loved what you were telling me, But I'd love to hear about your journeys as far as starting out and then where you are now. Keep in mind, we only have... no, I'm just kidding.
I talk circle. I mean, there's a bunch of different segments of my journey. And
It's hard to condense it, yeah.
It's hard to like settle on like one point. I mean, I got into acting because, excuse me, I love my dad would show me all the like Turner Classic Movies, Greta Garbo, Betty Davis, Clark Gable, and I just love the stories, and I love the way that he would just like look at them and how the stories impacted him. And I was like, wow, you can do this with movies, with art. And so coming from a diverse background, with my dad being an Irish man and my mom being a black woman from the city, I got a lot of different walks of life growing up, and I wanted to understand myself and understand them all. And just from that and life experience, I was like, I think I can do this crazy acting thing. I think I want to do it and do it for real. And so my junior year of high school, I auditioned for a play, and then I started to apply for acting schools. Got into the Northern Illinois University. There's
I did not know that.
Yes, I got my BFA in acting from Northern Illinois University. I also wanted to stay close because I was a teen mom. I had my daughter when I was like 15, and the school was like maybe 45 minutes outside of where our home was. So I had a lot of like support from my father and, my village, right, that helped me get through college and put me through college. So I got to actually experience that being a young mom. I went 4 years. I got to study those 4 years, so many different techniques. I did Meisner starting out. We did some Stella Adler. We did Chekhov. We studied everything and did a lot of like technique, body work, voice dialogue work. And we also got to study in Russia at the Moscow Art Theater School for like a semester. Yeah, that was really cool. Culture shock was crazy. I got a concussion in Russia.
Oh,
it's
no.
a story for another time.
Sounds like a rap song.
Wild.
I got a concussion in Russia.
A concussion in Russia. But I got to learn so much from just going over there. And then graduated, and I wanted to move to New York. I was set to start in Chicago. My acting teacher, she had worked with James Gandolfini and the agency that I'm with now, Green and Associates, and actually they changed to Green Talent just recently. And yeah, so when I came out to Los Angeles as like a gift for my, graduating college, and I auditioned for them, and I ended up getting in, and they were like, well, so when do you think you're going to move out here? And I was like, well, it just depends on,
Wow.
what you say in the room today. I don't know what compelled me to say that. I never talked like that to anybody.
That's a
You'd be
real...
like, it depends on if you're saying yes
Your
or
decision
yes.
depends on my decision.
Because really, I'll pack up my stuff and move here now if it's a yes. And they said yes, and that's exactly what I did. And, the rest from there is a bunch of more stories about struggle and, resilience and how this acting life and careers, has its many forms. Your journey, each and everyone's journey is unique. I was blessed to get the agent that I have, but I have friends who have had difficulties getting agents and managers. I was blessed to be with them, and they've been my family and my team and stuck with me through a lot of different life changes and things. I mean, I'm taking up this entire... I told you I could talk.
It's interesting what you're saying.
Yeah.
So from there, coming out to LA, I got in with a commercial agency, Daniel Hoff Agency.
I know that.
And the first thing that I booked out here was, I thought it was a hair and skin commercial because it was Jada Pinkett Smith. And so I go in and they give me just the breakdown of what we're doing. And it's like, you're at a party and you see this guy across the room and you're in love with him. And then it's like, boom, now you're in the basement. You're being sold as a sex slave. I was
my God.
Holy shit, I love this.
Wow.
I'm
really?
like, yeah, some acting stuff. Yeah.
I'm here for that.
I come from Miser doing a lot of improv and stuff like that. So you just give me something.
Something interesting.
I'm going to go. And so I went in there and I just went for it. And I ended up booking it. And the guy I forget the casting director again. But anyways, he was like, do you know who's directing this? I was like, no, who? And he was like, Selma Hayek. I was like, ooh. She's like, she was just in here. I was like, thank God she wasn't in here when I was doing it. I would have been so psyched out, but I ended up booking it. I thought, this is my, come up. It was it didn't pay that much, but it was an amazing experience,
Sure.
and to be able to do something, because I've always wanted to do with my career is to make a statement and to reach out to people to make them feel less alone, because I think it's a lot of actors, journey. You want people to understand you better through conveying these different voices and understand others better through doing so. And so I was able to, I felt like that made a statement within my journey. But, it paid $350 and back to the drawing board. My mom was with me when I had booked it, and I just gotten a speeding ticket because I'm a speeder. My first speeding ticket in Los Angeles, it was my entire paycheck.
Ouch.
But my mom, when I first booked it, and she says this every time, it's now statement every time I book something, she's like, I'm gonna get me a Beyonce wig. And so now every time I end up booking something, I'm like, Mama's getting a Beyonce wig. So we're there now.
That's better than asking for tickets, because tickets to her show you'd have to have a good commercial, a good gig, right?
I mean, I'm sure her wigs are as much as a ticket to her show is.
I don't know wigs.
Wait,
that
Beyonce
well,
has wigs that she sells?
No, she doesn't. No, but she wears.
Oh,
wigs.
she wears wigs. Okay, I didn't realize that.
I'm sure whatever goes on that woman's head is probably at least $20,000.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Which some people don't make all year, especially in acting. But now, one question I was going to ask both of you is, when did you feel like you got bit by the bug? Because that's what is that a thing? Do you think it was a thing for you? Because I remember when I got bit, it was that moment of, this is I want to do this. That moment, it's like the sky opens up and the angels come down, and you're like, this is it for me.
Oh, the angels.
Well, I don't know.
I need to hear about your time. I
don't know what I might have been smoking before I went on stage. I was in high school. So anyway, I just remember I was in The Wizard of Oz, and I had a couple of lines that I didn't know I didn't think
the original.
I was one of the Munchkins. I didn't think it was funny, but because I had an accent from back east. the girl who was playing Aunt Em was screaming for Dorothy right in the beginning of the play, but the auditorium was just packed. I can't believe that. Till this day, I don't know how they got all these people to show up at this high school play. And I come out, and she's saying, Dorothy, Dorothy. And I say, you looking for Dorothy, Aunt Em, or something like that? And everybody's, no, because then when Aunt Em says, where's she at? And I said, I don't know. I just wonder if you're looking for her. And everybody thought that was funny, and they laughed. And I didn't know it was funny, but I loved, the rush that I got. And from then on, it was kind of like, yeah, I like that. What about you guys? Did you get bit by the bug?
I mean, I did. Mine was a little bit different experience. Mine was watching a movie. I remember Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade came out. I was about 10 or 11, and watching Harrison Ford, and I was like, he looks like he's having so much fun. I want to do this. And, long story short, I was such a rambunctious child that I would always get in trouble in school. So I was always being punished. So I was always being sent to my room. So what did I do? I imagined being in a movie. I imagined jumping off this, doing that. It's the only thing I had because they... the things that I did, my parents were like, you're punished, you're not doing anything, no TV, no nothing. I just had to read
strict
books.
Parents.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, kind of strict, but it was more of the things that I did that they had to be strict. So, that's how I did it. I didn't really do any acting in school or anything like that. One little thing that I had of this make-believe thing about cops and robbers. Mm-hmm. But it's not until I moved out to LA that I really started acting about 15 years ago. And as soon as I got my first job, I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah, nice way to make a living, huh?
Yeah, I want to do for the rest of my life. So.
Because I do remember, like you were saying, my dad loved movies. That was what he would do on the weekends, is he'd watch these old movies. And a little later, he told me, he yelled from the other room, and he said, come here, come here. And I went down the hall, and he goes, you want to be an actor? This is the movie you have to watch. Watch this movie. And it was on the waterfront.
Oh, wow.
And he said, this is what you have to watch. If you want to be an actor, watch Marlon Brando in this.
And he knew. He knew you wanted to be an actor.
Yeah. Well, I won't get into that story, but the funny thing is, and I always tell the joke, it's kind of an ongoing thing, is when we were going to move to California from Worcester, Massachusetts, we lived there for a year, but I grew up in Rhode Island mostly, I just been there for about a year in Worcester and made friends and everything, and he was saying, "Oh, we're moving to California. You're gonna love it." And I go, "No, I don't want to move to California." I was like 13, and he said, "You can go skateboarding, and you can take surf. You can go surfing, and you can take drama." With this accent, right? Yeah. And I said, "I don't want to take drama," but I did. When we came out here, I took drama, and that's when I got in the play, and I auditioned for every part. I even tried to sing like the lion in the movie, like, oh, you got courage or whatever. And she knew already.
You were bold.
Well, yeah,
you were very bold.
I was fierce, but she already knew because of my accent what she was going to do with me. So I played Farmhand Joe and Uncle Henry alternating nights, and I played one of the henchmen because we couldn't get the little monkeys that fly, so they put us in like these cloak and dagger type things, and we tore the tore the scarecrow apart. But so for me, I think it was when I got the bug or the excitement from it, right? Like the part of the payoff and what you were talking about is that we always had like a school play, right? That we did like every year or something. And I got a line in it. We didn't. In like elementary school, we didn't have like auditions for these plays. It was just like, oh, it's a school performance type of thing. Yeah. So
the kids are going to sing something. We're going to showcase the kids, and the parents get together type of thing. And so they gave me a line where I was supposed to like mess up the ABCs, right? And I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I'm going to say the radio stations of like Chicago's radio stations or something like that. So I was like, A, B, C, WGCI, and everybody started like laughing and stuff, and I was like, I like this.
Moment, right? That's one of the moments.
It's a great feeling.
I was like, I like this. Yes, making people laugh is great. I do a lot more drama than comedy now. But what?
I said if you can make them cry, that's even better. After you get more into your acting and you get into something that's just so moving that it brings that emotion out of you, and you know that you're moving the audience, because when I watch a movie and it's just, oh man, that feeling of like what they're doing on that screen is bringing out emotion in me. And I wish I could access it better sometimes in my work, but you learn how to do it, right? And then you think maybe someday that'll be somebody just watching something great that's happening on, because when it's all firing on all cylinders and you're in it and it.
What actor do you think really portrays those kind of emotions like that? Like make you cry?
Well,
Who is the master manipulator?
I do rely on like a Strasbourg, the method of going back and doing my prep before a scene. I start thinking of something that's going to help get me there. So I do
use
rely on
a lot
that.
of personal.
There's enough there to where I should be able to.
Yeah, me
just,
too.
right,
That's all I use.
There's a lot
I
of stuff there.
connect it to the personal all the time. I mean, I think we have so much richness in our life to draw off, and we have so much more experience to be had, that using those things that are available to get us close to the reality is this. It's what I do and what I practice like in my work all the time. With Meisner, I used to with Meisner, because Meisner and how Meisner works. I mean, just to explain it, I guess for the like podcast, you have
the
at the
audience.
door, right? So like somebody's in the room doing an activity, and you have your objective, and then you come in with
activities.
your emotional preparation, right? And so every time I like started outside of the door to come in with my emotional preparation, I killed like every single member of my family. Like, I just imagine, I mean, not every single time. I'm okay, all right? I'm stable.
That puppy of mine died so
But
many
I just,
times.
yes, it was just like, all right, I want to get the most impactful and most deep emotional state that I can. So I'm going to kill my best friend. I would call my best friend from high school, and I'd be like, hey, I just
I'm
need
sorry.
to talk to you. She's like, did you kill me again? I'm like, yes.
That's
I
funny.
love you, though. Because I just
know-
wanted to explore what that
It's funny you say
was.
that, and to answer your question better, because you just helped me get to a better answer for that. I was doing the Meisner thing, and for some reason, the final was we had to pick a song that meant something to us. So I picked this Elvis song. And it didn't matter whether we could sing or not, and it didn't matter whether you wanted to sing or not. Everyone in the class was going to sing a song at the end of for the final.
Oh.
So I picked Elvis, One Night With You is what I'm praying for. Can you? No, take that. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so I did it, and I was thinking about someone, and, and then the teacher said, all right, he said, so who are you thinking about? And I said, my mom, because she loves Elvis. Like, that's, shout out to Linda Thompson, because that's a friend of ours, and she's with Elvis she was a big part of his life. Anyway, the teacher said, okay, I really like what you did and everything, but now picture this. It's the middle of the night. Phone rings, you look. It's the place. He asked me where my mom was. I said, she's in a home, They said, you got to come. You got to. And you're just in the room with her, and that's it. And now you're going to sing that song to her. But and I didn't realize it, but there's words in that song that meant so much more. And it brought the emotion. And the teacher was crying.
Yeah.
And he said, that was incredible. And people were coming up to me after class and saying, wow, that was pretty intense.
Because
it was the plans that we would make, that if you listen to the words of the song, like you could be talking to your mom. If she
how
were,
those are highlighted in that way because of the specificity in the context of what you're putting it in.
and I didn't realize it until I put that scenario to work. And it was like the words were like I was talking to her, it was like, yeah, I can't even think of the words right now. But I was also going to say, let's talk about what you guys have done for the audience, because they could Google
Done
you.
a lot
but
of compromising things in this industry.
well, I wasn't going to
It's
talk.
working. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was going to make a couple jokes when we started out, but I decided I was going to tell the audience that we were going to play strip poker, but nobody wants to see me sitting at the table for that. You guys, yeah, maybe, but okay. I'm sorry. We could edit that out. I'm just kidding. But you were kind of on my radar a little bit before I ever met you, I think, because I met you, I think it was either at in Joe Police's class, or I heard you had taken Joe Police's class, but I saw you in the play with Eddie and Jeremy.
That was before the class.
Okay,
That was before the class. I came to the class after because Joe.
I don't know if we were ever in his class together, but what I saw you on was Entourage.
I was not on Entourage.
You were not on Entourage? No? Okay. Well, that's what I was going to say is I thought it was you that was on Entourage.
Are you sure? Because I thought I saw you on there.
I saw
Damn,
you.
James, you didn't do your research before we started this? I've known you for how long?
Right.
No,
So,
no, I was not on Entourage.
you were not on Entourage, so I got you mixed up with someone else, and I thought
you sure it was
that
Entourage?
It might have been a different show. What other shows have you been on back then, and when you first started out? Because I'm sure it was
from when I did the play.
yeah, just in your career. Like, what are some of the first acting jobs that you got on a good? I mean, on any because I know you've been on 911.
Yes.
And you had an amazing arc on that.
You're on 911 too?
Yeah, I did as well.
Oh yeah, which season? What season?
The latest one, it was like episode 1 or 2. First.
Oh, nice!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
They're a good
Congrats to you,
team.
too. Yeah, they
They're a
are.
good
They're
team.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I auditioned for it, but you know, I was like,
Oh,
It's
you'll
okay,
get
there's
it.
a
You'll
lot
get it.
of there's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of roles. They're gonna keep.
I-
that thing is gonna go for a while.
Yeah.
It's a good
yeah,
show.
I auditioned for a lot of Ryan Murphy things. They're just waiting for just the right thing for me.
And he has a lot.
Yeah,
So if he's
I
been
love
bringing
everything
you
he
in,
does,
you have,
too.
Yeah, a lot of opportunity there. I did a different Ryan Murphy project as well. I think called The Brave. I did one episode on that where I played a mistress to a drug lord. And I spoke like that. It was probably horrible, but it worked. It worked.
I like
went-
it. It sounds good to me.
It sounds good to me.
It was so funny because I did Shameless. Maybe you're thinking of Shameless.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
that's
you're
what I
thinking
meant.
about Shameless. Yes,
Yeah.
I
It's a
did
great
about
show.
it's awesome show.
How many
I
episodes
was
did
so
you-
sad when it ended. I did about 6 episodes.
There you go. That's what it was.
I did about
That's
6
what I meant.
episodes and Shameless, like throughout, I think it started the 4th season or so, up until like the 6th. A few on the 6th.
Those were both my
And then
favorite
I knew
shows.
when it was ending for me on that show because they made me steal the damn baby. And I was like, as soon as you have me steal this baby, everyone's going to hate me. And not in the way that you want to hate the people on this show. And then I'm gone. And I never came back. But I had so much fun on that show. Oh my gosh. It reminded me of like, I don't know, it just had such a down to earth kind of atmosphere and vibe that, like they didn't even give you like sides there because it was just kind of expected for you to just show up and be with it. And it just had that kind of, I came from working on Vampire Diaries. I had just worked on
Damn,
Vampire
nice.
Diaries.
A lot of stuff. That's why I was I wanted to get you to
and
tell
mind
us
you,
more.
it wasn't like boom, 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 bam. Like it was like every year I was blessed to like book something that was very well, but like in the in-between time I was working and struggling. I had started out coming out here and I was working at Chin Chin on Sunset. I worked as a host. And then I moved my way up to being a waitress, which terrified me because those people there, they want to order everything outside of what is on the menu, and they expect it now.
Oh no!
But it was balancing that and like auditions and everything, and then it got a little crazy there. And then I had auditioned for something called OT Beach, which was like it was an improv audition, right? And I went in for like Carlo, and then I had a call back for it at Paramount, and it was awesome. I thought it was going to be like the next like Freedom Riders or something like that. And then I didn't get called in. 6 months later, they ended up calling me back because they said they were looking for somebody that was like actual like younger like age range because they were looking for like 16, 17-year-old kids or whatever. And they called me back for a director's session. Come to find out, it was Paranormal Activity.
Ooh, the first one?
The marked ones. No, the fifth installment
Yeah,
of the
'cause there's a few,
franchise.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And so I had went in for that and auditioned with Christopher Landon. It was a bunch of us, like they were mixing us up and we had to like improv a scene, right? Like my character had found something online that had to do with the guy downstairs that got killed and we didn't know what was going on, and so like I'm like trying to figure out, these guys are like stepping all over me in the improv scene. They're just like kind of like together. I'm like, damn it, like I don't know. I'm like, how am I gonna get in there, right? So I like go outside and I write. I use a piece of paper and I write out what I'm gonna do, and like so I make up some like article and like some spell or something, and I have like a few like different props. I'm like, that's gonna get their attention, and so I go in there and I end up there in the middle of the. I'm like, guys, I found this, and they're like totally pulled their attention, and then anyways, I'm gonna keep on talking in circles around that. But I ended up booking it.
Nice.
I ended up booking Paranormal Activity. I quit Chin Chin, deuces, I'm done.
Sweet.
And then maybe about 6, because we did the filming was like different. We had a script, but we improv'd just off of just different structural points within the script. Lasted for 6-7 months. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was amazing.
That's a dream gig.
Yeah. I didn't know what was going to make it into the movie at that point. We had shot a bunch of different endings, but it was all so much fun. I loved Christopher Landon, who was the director, my co-stars, Jorge Diaz and Andrew Jacobs. Like, we had so much fun on that.
Nice.
But then after, like, I'm like, oh, I thought I was just going to like book. I did end up getting a horror film that was awesome as well. It was called The Hive. It's on like Amazon Prime or whatever.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I'm like, I play the horror element of it. I'm really ugly in it. It's amazing. I had these crazy contacts where I have like googly eyes. One is going the other way.
What?
It's
Wow, I'll
like
have to
this
see
virus
that.
that like takes over you. It's transmitted through vomiting. It's really gross, just putting that out there. And then after you like convulse and get these boils and crazy things, but it's like a hive mind, right? To
Sounds interesting.
yeah, it's cool. It's
The
kind of like
Hive,
Invasion
right,
of the
I gotta
Body
check it out.
Snatchers. Yes,
Yeah,
right. But while I was doing that, I didn't get to do publicity with the boys for Paranormal Activity. So I think a lot of the things didn't like really like catch on. So like I thought like getting Paranormal Activity, that it was going to be like boom, boom, boom. And not that it didn't elevate me and get me into certain rooms in certain respect. Like you need stuff on your resume to get, that respect. You need somebody to like take a chance on you. And then after that, you have at least that to help you be trusted. But it was a rough road from there. Like I went back to Chin Chin and I applied and they did not hire me. Yeah, because I wasn't booking anything for a while. And then I was like on my last legs, literally like negative in my bank account. And then I booked Vampire Diaries. And I flew out to Atlanta. Thank God I had a little bit left on my credit card to put on the hotel. I was drinking water for the first like
Were you hired
2
as
weeks.
a local? Is that why?
No. I went to the I got through to the hotel. I was out there for like 2 months. And because though they need like a personal credit card for just like the deposit or whatever, I was like putting so much on the room. We would go out and stuff, and these kids are like millionaires, and I'd be like, "Can I have a water?" I'm like, I don't know what this
It's like
life is. Yeah.
Michael J. Fox. Have you seen his documentary?
No,
You
I
have
heard
to.
about
You
it.
got. It's incredible.
I want to see that. Yeah.
And even in the previews or the trailer or whatever, you see him talking about how he would go into IHOP and take the jelly, the Smucker's jelly packets, just to eat. Because the guy goes, "Why? What would you?"
Made it
Because he came out here. I think he did work a little bit, but then it got so difficult. He said he had to walk to the airport. But
Oh
he
my
said, long
gosh.
as I had a chip and a chair. And they go, what? What are you talking about? He goes, when you're in a poker game, as long as you have a chip and you're still sitting in the chair. But something happened. He was going to go back and work for his brother, who is a superintendent of a construction site. And he would just like pick up nails or whatever. And I'm not sure what happened. They didn't really go into what changed for him. I think it was he got a big on the show,
Family Ties, I think it was.
Yeah, Family Ties. So what have you been doing? I see you
wait,
doing
to
some
add
things.
on to that, one of the worst things an actor can do before they have established themselves and made it big is quit their job if you don't have a lot of money in the bank.
Right.
Listen, I thought I was gonna get to be buying Beyonce wigs. Okay,
Yeah.
every single
Right.
time. That's what I'm telling you. We're like Beyonce
Well,
wig. We're almost there.
We know an actor who will remain nameless, but we know who he is, who
Hustler.
started doing really well and went and got this fancy apartment over at the Grove. But I don't know. He was a little worried because he hadn't booked in a while, and he humbled himself and moved back over on the other side of town to where he lived before he got the apartment at the Grove, and got in the same apartment building. And God bless him. He's doing great now. I mean, he's doing really well, but he's still humble.
Yeah.
You know,
He's
it's
still
a journey.
driving
It taught
a
me
modest
so much
car.
about. It just taught me so much about like listen, any job that you do is a service to something, and taking pride in whatever that is and doing it well, and
I'm
not
wearing my
judging
pride shirt,
yourself
by the
and
way.
releasing from judgment or other people, you know, because I felt like, well, I already did this. Like I had a time like. I quit continuously. I started working at, Idle Hour, and I was hosting over there. I couldn't even get a serving job because like most of them were like taken, and you still had to like work up or whatever. And I was doing the play at that time with Jeremy Luke, and I was like, and he was helping me out, pay me for doing the play, because I'm like, listen, I'm spending all these hours. I don't even know how I'm gonna like pay my rent.
Yeah.
But at that time, it brought me back to center in something that fed my soul. Because I think a lot of the time, auditioning and going out on these auditions and stressing yourself out and just thinking about booking a job because you're desperate, because you need to eat, because you, whatever, like makes you lose a part of the reason why you're doing it in the first place, makes you
Good
disconnected from yourself. And so like, the humbling through having to work other jobs, but like understanding that it's a journey, and everybody's journey is different. And so appreciating that and sitting and resting in your power that, like for me, I was like, okay, I was talking to God, and I was like, God, I thought I learned this lesson already. Why am I here again? And God was like, well, if you learned this lesson, then why are you acting the same way?
Yeah.
Like, don't you trust and have faith in what this is and where you're going? And I'm
That's
like, well,
a good point. Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
have
I
to
don't-
have that faith that you know why you're doing it and you believe in what you're doing. One funny thing is when I was starting out, I kind of like walked away and came back and stuff like that. But they didn't have TikTok and Instagram where you have all these inspirational, all this advice from these huge actors like Matthew McConaughey, Matt Damon, all that. So now I'm seeing Bryan Cranston. They tell these stories about. You don't want to go in there with desperation. Like, you don't want to go in there and say, I need this job. I want to get the job. It's not about getting the job. It's like Michael Keaton said, when he decided, like, if I got an audition, I'd wake up in the morning, look over my script. That was my job. I was working.
Job. Yeah,
Remember you saw that?
Yeah.
And he said, once I started looking at it, like, that's my job. And someone else said, as an actor, you're going to be auditioning more than you're going to be working, especially in the beginning. So your job is to go around town and putting on little shows for casting directors. So once you start changing your whole and get rid of that, because like you're saying, when you're up against it, then that starts affecting how you go into the room. And it's hard to just say, oh, I'm not worried about getting this job. Or I don't, like Rob Lowe said, am I been name dropping? No, these are just things I've heard. It's not people I've met. But he said you have to have a little bit of the fuck it's.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Just a little bit, but not too much. You don't want to go in there like a complete asshole, and have all be arrogant. But you have to have a little bit of that to where like, hey,
No, yeah, don't be. I believe in like law of attraction. I believe in energy. We all are energetic beings. So if you have an energy of lack and desperation, it reads. If it's not working for the actual like character, then like you're not serving the role. You're not doing a service. When I started to really feel like empowered in my work, when I was just like, okay, what do I want to do? Because I'm looking at this now because I want to book a job, and I've been wanting to book a job, and I've been going out in the room or on tape, and I've been selling what I feel like they want to see, and I'm like, fuck that. What do I want to do here? How am I going to, at the end of the day, after I put this out there, all the work and the hours that I put in here, going to feel satisfied
right
with what I'm doing and proud and own it? And so sometimes it doesn't, I feel like I'm good with breaking stuff down. I don't think I'm going to be completely off, but if it's not what they want, if it's not going to serve the piece, then okay, so be it. And I have to roll up my sleeves, but I have to, at the end of the day, I have to serve myself and serve my art and bring my take, my taste, my color to this, and leave it alone, because that's my only job. And then I feel like I'm owning it and I can move the fuck on. Because after everything, Joe, police, gave me a good point of advice one time. I had went out for, it was a rough time because I had went and I tested for this show, and I had just said no to another show because my agents and manager told me that I should, because it's during pilot season and I've been doing so well and I've been testing. So say no to this to say yes to a pilot, which was like, where is the pilot? We don't know.
Right.
It's just a contract that they
And the
have
writer's
you
strike
sign
came
right
along.
before, a thing. But I had talked to Joe and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I felt like the first one went good. And then I was the only girl auditioning for it. And then literally a girl walked in last minute because one of the shows that she tested for didn't go through. So then she came in, and then I all of a sudden had competition. I was like, I felt like I went in there and I did what I was supposed to do and blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, all right, move on, let him catch up. And I was like, all right then. What else are you going to do? That's the kind of attitude and energy that you want to have. And it's not like an arrogance or like a F them or anything like that. It's just like, hey, this is the work that we do. This is my job. This is my let me move on and let them catch up to me, because I'm still going to audition. There's still other jobs. I still have different things in my life that I am a constant student. So I'm always learning. I have different things. We do so much. We work on our bodies. We work on our I need to work. We should be working on your mental state, especially if you're going to be digesting so much emotional life and balance family and other life things, because life is our art. We can never learn enough, and this is our instrument that we're using. So I'm always working, and so I don't need to focus on what is past. So I can take the power of now, move on, and if it's aligned, then it's aligned, and just trust that whatever will be will be.
Yeah.
You have to come at that place. Even, I gave myself, though, it took a while to get there. I gave myself at least 5 minutes to rant, rave, and bitch about whatever I felt did or didn't happen.
It's important to do
during it, because you don't just swallow it and then just be like, toxic positivity type of stuff.
That'd be hard to do.
Give yourself time to do that, but then switch and shift your focus so you can come. You hear so many people now being like, don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid of failure. And I think that's so important. Even when you're on camera, and it's hard to do. It's hard for me even now to do. But the best performances that I've ever given were when I was just trying to be. When I was not thinking of giving a perfect or a good performance, was just when I was just trying to just exist in the here and now within the circumstances of the scene and just experience my truth of whatever was going on. And so when you do that, or you take risks, you get way more, you learn way more, and you get more satisfied, and you don't keep yourself in this stressed out box.
Casting is so specific sometimes, or a lot of times, or most of the time, or if they're doing a good job at it. And I've seen a couple of times for big projects that I auditioned for and I didn't get. And I saw who they cast. And when I sit back and go, I would have cast him instead of me. That's when I start seeing that it's, and I've been hearing this a lot. If you're getting the auditions and they're calling you in for great roles, for great projects, don't feel discouraged because you're not booking. Yeah. When the auditions stop and they stop bringing you in, and you're not getting auditions, then maybe I'll start worrying. But I've been getting, for some of the best projects that came out last year. So you can watch and you can see who got the role, and you might not agree with it all the time, but I've seen some stuff where no, they know what they're doing. I have to agree with them. I think that guy looked a little bit more because he was playing a real person.
I don't even think you have to do that to yourself.
Don't do it.
Don't even do that to yourself. There's 1,010 reasons that you're just not even privy to.
Right.
To whatever went on in the decision-making process.
Yeah, it could be anything.
I've seen a lot of ones. I'm like, why that? Their shit. I've done the whole thing. But then I'm like, you know what? whatever, because like when you go on the other side of it, or you work in, because I tried to produce some stuff, it didn't fully like pan through. I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing it with my cousin. It was a music video. It was crazy, and he's definitely like a hippie artist, so I tried to take him on as like a producing partner, and he just had a new idea every day, and I was going through a lot of transitions, so we didn't get exactly there. But like looking at the other side on the different things where I've heard my friends producing stuff, or just what all goes into it, there's a lot of the decision making that you can take a lot of personal stuff out of it. Right now I'm producing a project that I'm leading in this film called Vicky's Big Break. It's freaking gonna be like stellar. It's really different than anything that I've done thus far. It's a dark comedy, psychological thriller. But on that side of it, like we know that there's different things. We went and we found a director recently, Brandon J. McLaren. He's been in Graceland. He's been in a lot. I can't think. He was a Power Ranger, but there was something, and we interviewed one of my friends as well, and there was just something specific that he brought within the pulse of the film and the story. Now he doesn't have as much experience as a director, but that stuck out. There were different points that the other people had that were within the pulse as well, but had a little less, I guess, understanding of being on set and in that way, and like being an actor's director, and he was definitely that. And there was someone else who I thought was a great contender who had more of the technical aspects, and I felt like the execution, because it's a very stylized film, and it's going to be gnarly to like execute, but part of every single particle that makes up the team is important and serves in that way, and he just seemed to serve in that specific way. And so it's like, I think there's a certain synergy that happens with that, and it could be, even come down to sometimes followers, popularity, certain things that people were in recently, if they see you as this person, if it's something that you've played before or something that they've never seen you play before.
And I often go back to, I was just talking with someone about this yesterday. I was listening to, there was a Q&A where big-time actor, I won't keep saying everybody's name, but he said
drop.
It was John Stamos. But he said that he's been on both sides of the casting, and he auditioned so many times in his career. But then he was in the casting process for some shows that he was working on, and there were two women that came in, and they were both great, but one was clearly better for the role. But she was just better.
Yeah.
And when they left and they all talked about it, everyone at the table said, yeah, they're both great. They can both do it, but this is the one we should, she's the one. Mm-hmm. He said, the director said, I admit it. She'd be better, but she reminds me of my ex-wife, so we're going to go with the other girl.
No way.
And someone just told me that story yesterday.
That's crazy.
She's a commercial workshop.
I've heard of things like that, but I didn't know it was
I can't
true.
work with her.
But no, someone just told me. I couldn't believe. That's why I told the story again yesterday to this woman who said it happened to her. Wow. I said, you're kidding me. Because I heard it that one time, and I was thinking, that's messed up.
How'd she find out?
I don't know. But she said the exact same story. I wonder if it was her. No.
That's funny.
Yeah. Something.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of why you never were casted for certain roles?
Only one time, because I had a teacher at the South Coast Repertory who had left the job but got her friend the job as a casting director for Days of Our Lives, or one of those big soap operas. And Jill Newton, she's wonderful. And she went and filled in while her friend was on maternity leave for just a few months. And while she was there, another person in the class who actually played Marta in Scarface, the woman on the with the pillows over the when Al Pacino comes in and she started when the chainsaw scene. Yeah. That's her. Her name's Barbara. Wow. Yeah, great woman, everything. But she pushed Jill. She goes, "You got to bring James in for this. You got to bring James in," because she was helping her in the office with the casting, the headshots and all that. She goes, "Just call James." She really believed in me, and I had this like 5-page scene. And it was going to be a nice arc and everything. And I was a cop who was an informant I was working with the mob and all this stuff, And she emailed me this long thing, and it actually was a Facebook message. And she said, they went with someone who had more credits, but you were good. She goes, you did seem a little nervous, but you didn't go up on your lines. One of the things that messed me up, though, and this is so weird, is I'm auditioning, she's behind the camera, and while I'm doing my thing, she's smiling like a proud mom, like
I
she was
love that.
and it wasn't even like a happy scene. It was like, I'm about ready to get killed by these mob guys if I don't do what they tell me.
She was enjoying it.
She loved it. She loved watching me,
giving you support.
and that threw me a little bit. I know it shouldn't have, but it threw me a little bit
Well,
because
who's to say it should or it shouldn't have? It just did.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like
It
stuff
was what it
happens.
was. Oh wow, we're getting down to it's that time.
That time.
But I think we should all get together again because I
Yeah.
would love to talk about just your guys' take on.
And I took over.
No, please. I love listening to you talk. No, I love listening to other people talk. You learn a lot. Sometimes you just.
So
gotta
Carlo
take it
was my
back.
co-host today for our special guest. No, it was great. No, I loved it. It was we all had a great time.
Yeah.
And I want to do it again because we could go through just different ideas about auditioning and we call this the Artist's Room podcast.
Yeah, love it.
But thank you guys for coming, and I hope we all get together again here and do this again
Yeah,
soon.
let me know
Yeah,
for the next time. Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I had a Sam Rubin moment, but anyway,
Yeah.
okay. Talk to you guys later.